السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحقيقة بتشرف إن إحنا النهاردة أفتتح الجلسة الخاصة بنظم المحاسبة المائية الووتر أكاونتنج. والحقيقة لازم أقول إن وزارة الموارد المائية والري كان ليها تعاون كبير جدا مع منظمة الأغذية والزراعة الفاو في إدخال مبدأ المحاسبة المائية وإنشاء وحدة للمحاسبة المائية في الوزارة. الحقيقة بقالنا شغالين أكتر من سنتين من خلال أحد المشروعات الممولة من الحكومة السعودية من سيدا. اتعلمنا كتير مع بعض. الفريق اللي اشتغل وكان انفولفد في الاكتيفيتيز بدأ بتدريب عدته منظمة الفاو للزملاء اللي عندنا في القطاع. عملنا تيلورنج للكونسبت. بدأنا بان احنا نشوف ايه المفهوم في كل الدول العالم، يعني ايه ووتر اكاونتنج، ايه عناصر النظام، ايه الجديد اللي ممكن نستفاده من تطبيق نظم المحاسبه المائيه. وفي نفس الوقت اضفنا للكونسبت لان احنا بدانا بان نختار انه نشتغل مع معهد الIHE واعتمدنا على WA+ كنموذج للووتر اكاونتنج. ولكن بالتطبيق الفعلي اكتشفنا انه ما ينفعش انه يبقى فيه تول تصلح لكل الدول وتصلح لكل المناطق، ولكن لازم يبقى فيه شغل من الفرق المحليه والاقليميه على انه يتعمل كاستمايزيشن للتولز دي وتكون بترفلكت الوضع داخل الدوله. احنا اشتغلنا بالفعل وحاولنا نعمل كاستمايزيشن، وهنشوف النهارده سواء جوه مصر او بره مصر كل دوله ازاي قدرت انها تعمل كاستمايزيشن للووتر اكاونتنج بما يهدف اهداف كل دوله واغراضها. بيشرفني ان افتتح الجلسه ومعانا من الفاو. Sorry, Domati, I'm talking all the time when you don't have translation. معانا دكتور الحمدي المدير الإقليمي للمياه بمنظمة الفاو، ومعانا دوماتي الخبير بمنظمة الأغذية والزراعة وهي اللي متابعة أنشطة المحاسبة المائية. إن شاء الله أتمنى أن الجلسة تتعرض لإشكاليات وتساؤلات من كل الدول اللي شاركت، وأن يكون في نهاية الجلسة تصور إزاي ممكن نحسن أساليب المحاسبة المائية وإزاي ممكن نخليها تخدم أغراض كل دولة. شكرا لحضراتكم، وحد الكلمة لزميلي دكتور حمدي يقول لنا رؤية منظمة الأغذية والزراعة في المحاسبة المائية وإيه التحديات وإيه الإشكاليات اللي ممكن الدول تقابلها، لأن الموضوع مطاط وكبير وواسع ومهم جدا، ولكن لازم نقف على التحديات اللي بتقابل هذا النظام وإزاي ممكن نرسخ له وإزاي ممكن يكون في دعم فني ودعم وبناء قدرات لكل العاملين في الدول المختلفة لأن يكون المحاسبة المائية هي أساس إدارة الموارد المائية في الدول. شكرا لحضراتكم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سعادة الدكتورة إيمان السيد رئيس قطاع التخطيط في وزارة الموارد المائية والري، الأخوة المشاركين جميعا، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Let me maybe say my remarks in English. It's easier for me. Well, I'm not in the opening, I'm not in the agenda, but I was on the spot asked to say a few words. My name is Muhammad Al-Hamdi, as Dr. Ayman said, and I am the Senior Land and Water Officer at the Regional Office of Fayoum, and I am the Delivery Manager of the Water Scarcity Initiative, the Regional Water Scarcity Initiative of FAO. Water accounting is a pillar within the work that we do. Within the Water Scarcity Initiative, water accounting is one pillar in addition to other pillars like water productivity, non-conventional water, strategic planning. But we really believe that without water accounting, we really cannot do proper management of water resources. And that is why we have within our regional project, the so-called SIDA project, where I'm also happy to have my colleague Domati with us. She will speak to you more on the project. But that is why water accounting is one pillar of the project. We really think that without having the appropriate capacity at the country level, at the ministries of water, at the water resources authorities, if capacity on water accounting is lacking, then it really is an obstacle to do proper management of water. We really need to know how to assess water availability. We need to know how to assess water consumption in a systematic manner. When I say in a systematic manner, meaning that we follow an approach, and I'm happy that we do have Dr. Amjad with us, and it's an opportunity to also highlight that we do not work alone. Within the Water Scarcity Initiative, within FAO, we work in partnership. We all work in partnership. So we work with Dr. Amjad, with IMI, we work with IHE, we work with other partners given the comparative advantage that they have. So we complement each other, we complete each other, and that's why countries are really at the forefront. So we work in 8 countries of the project on water accounting, and we build capacity. We've done, I'm sure that many of you have followed the webinar series on water accounting, and there were a lot of people that have benefited from this. They have benefited from the activities that are being done on the ground. Of course, with connected to this is the crop mapping exercise that we do, and in addition to what we do on water accounting builds on water productivity. And I think the following session to this one is on water productivity. So they're connecting. We connect what we do at water accounting and what we do at water productivity and other elements of the project and the Water Scarcity Initiative. I don't want to take long, and I think what I've said is enough. Maybe it will be complemented by my colleague Domiti. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think I will give the floor to Amgad Al-Mahdi, who is with us, unfortunately virtually, because he's still is in Australia, I think, so in the evening. And so Amgad will take us through the session and will facilitate. So Amgad, I will give you the floor first, and then I will present.
The presentation come forward. I think it's a great opportunity and a great moment to discuss the water accounting and water governance analysis and try to understand the lesson learned from the application in number of countries, like as Dr. Hamdi said, like with CEDA support, that project was implemented in 8 countries in the region with a different level of experience in terms of the implementation and uptake. So we have seen countries moving forward by establishing like a water accounting unit, like what the Egyptian government or the Ministry of Water Resource and Irrigation in Egypt did, like putting a team and focus on that activity and drive that activity forward. We have seen other countries like Lebanon and Jordan. They also spend a good time in building the experience, building the capacity within the country, and they are on the stage of how they can actually institutionalizing the water accounting. And also on the west side, like Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, I think also a great experience of developing the water accounting again at different scales. So today's session, it's really a great opportunity to hear your feedback, to get that lesson learned and see how you went through, how you take that water accounting into your applications, into your case study, what lesson you have learned. And we're going to discuss that and share that experience with the aim to be able at the end to come with really learning of practical experience. So across the MENA region in terms of the implementation of water accounting and auditing, but we also understand the need to complete the water accounting with water governance analysis to reach really a working solutions. Yes, so I can see the slide coming. Yep, so if you click next, please, and move to slide number 4. Yes, and next. Yeah, thank you. So yep, all right, perfect. So as I was saying, so the aim of that session is really to share that lesson learned and discuss also the need protocol for informing the sustainable water use. So we will hear from Charles later about that protocol and what is involved, the key component, and so on. So your role today is really looking for you to share your lesson learned and experience, to provide your feedback on how you went around the water accounting exercise in your country, in your case study, and exchange that lesson learned between all the countries that we are represented today in that workshop, and discuss really the step to take, like how did you went to develop that water accounting, what lesson you have learned along that journey. And every country had their own journey. So by end of the session, we're really looking for 3 key outcomes. First, to everyone to have that understanding of the practical experience across the MENA region on implementing the water accounting and auditing, and also understand really the need to how we can really need to complete the water accounting and water governance. So water accounting tell us the status of the resources, and water governance complement that by telling us how the water is managed and inform us in terms of all the regulations and law around the water accounting or around the water allocation and use. And last outcome we looking for is really to learn about the operation of water, of the protocol or the guidelines on water accounting to facilitate the implementation. So I would like to encourage everyone to open your heart, open your mouth, share your experience. Everyone has a lesson he has learned over the last 2-3 years by doing that activity. So please share that experience. We're really looking to hear that from everyone in the room and also online. Thank you, and back to Domiti.
Thank you very much. I think we can move to the next slide, please. We'll have a session where we are going to use one tool called Mentimeter that some of you already started. So here you see, you can put it in your telephone or on your computer, and we'll ask you to provide feedback along the way, answer to questions, etc. So I invite you to enter this code, www.menti.com, and the numbers that you see will enable you to enter the session. So leave it open, and then you will see the question and request for feedback that will come up. The first one, you have currently a question that is about where you are from, and so that we can see also who is in the room. So I'm going to just give you a brief overview on water accounting for those of you who are less familiar, and then Amgad will help us move through the program. We have a little delay, and we'll try to regain that time through the maybe the breakout rooms. Thank you very much. I'm going to move to the... So very quickly, Mohammed Al-Hamdi already introduced briefly, spoke about the project. So we are implementing a project called Implementing the 2030 Agenda on Efficiency, Productivity and Sustainability of Water in the Near East and North Africa region. That is implemented in 8 countries, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt, Jordan, Palestine, Lebanon, and Iran. All those countries share common issues around water scarcity, and this project is focused on 3 main blocks: knowing better your water, knowing better what agriculture can do to improve the way it uses water, but also looking at the coherence between different sectors like water, agriculture, and energy. Today we are going to speak of the first block, next, which is the water accounting, next. And the main objective of the activity we have done under that project on water accounting is to try to see how you can establish a robust water accounting system, and to build evidence and support strategic planning and decision making. And we have focused mainly on building capacities and knowledge. And so that's, we are going to present some of the results very quickly. And it's getting people able to just implement themselves and tailor the system that fits their needs. We work with the International Water Management Institute, who is with us today, and Amgad and Adam, who is in the room with us, and the IHE Delft, and they are also with us, but virtually today. So next. So just reminding, why do we need water accounting? I think it was already told by Dr. Eman Sayed and Mohamed Al-Hamdi, but very clearly this picture just reveals, I mean, have we gone too far? Do we still have water, the water we need for the demands, the growing demands? If we were, for those of you who were this morning in the session, there was just some very good slide that showed the fast speed of growth of population and demands. So the question is, do we have enough for today and tomorrow? Can we inform trade-off if we don't have measurement information? How much did we save when we do a modernization program? How much can we save and effectively? So all these questions will need to just have evidence, and that's where water accounting can be a very good approach to support that knowledge. So the facts have shown in many cases that we have not really accounted water before we took decision on allocation. So the question is, can we do better? And that's where we think water accounting can be a useful tool, and we'll see an example with Egypt where they will show what they have been starting to do next. So just the definition so that we are on the same base, so that the definition that has been proposed in the source book on water accounting and auditing that was published by FAO. So the key aspect that you have to remember is a systematic assessment. It doesn't mean comprehensive, that we have all the data we need, but systematic, that we review, resources, infrastructure, demand and access in a systematic way. That was important. And we look not only at the status, but also the trends, what has been happening. Next. I think there have been. So, and we propose to combine this. It's not enough to have quantitative assessment. We need to understand in what is the context in which it is based, what is the reality of the policy institution. So that's where we just suggest to use water auditing, and it would be better to speak of water governance analysis to just really provide the element that enable to understand what are the explanation, the cause behind some of the figures and trends we see. And that's just ensuring that we have that assessment that also look at, for example, water tenure. What are the reality of the different rights, legal, illegal, formal, informal, etc. So you do have a number of questions we have to look at also when we try to analyze the situation of resources and demand. Next. So we suggest to just really do water accounting and water governance analysis together as a interrelated process of analysis, and we can go do a quick and rapid assessment or do a more comprehensive assessment if there is a need and you have some complex questions that require more evidence. So you have some example here in the slide highlighting the quantitative assessment, what it looks at, supply, demand and access in specified domain, and the auditing that looks at how decisions are made, what are the factors that influence those decisions, etc. So you see that two elements. So it's both a quantitative and qualitative assessment that we need. Next. So I won't go in a lot of details, but just to tell you what is the process that the project I was referring to went through with the partners I referred to. So it's a project of learning by doing, so it's a knowledge project. So learning first, how do you do water accounting, with all along the way training on understanding the basic of water accounting, what is behind the science, and then applying on a specific case. So in the 8 countries, some of the countries did in 2 sites or 1 site, and they just learned by looking at irrigation schemes, at a small catchment, at a part of an irrigation scheme, or at a larger basins. So all this experience by trying to gather the data and create a water balance was helpful for them to understand what are the limitation challenges, but also the opportunities. Then we just added the governance assessment because, as we indicated, it's important it's done together with the methodologies enabled to be systematic in the way we look at it and we assess the cause behind the issues. And then we are entering then in the last phase where we just can move into a process of improving the way we assess our water situation, different cycle of water accounting, adding new, more complex tools, using better remote sensing, modeling, etc., and then informing a standard protocol that could just help people to just do it in a faster way without going, the shortcut through the learning process. So in the entering in the institutionalization and operationalization of water accounting next. And I wanted just to leave you with some of key elements of lessons learned that I think you'll have a chance to discuss about after the presentation from Egypt. What did we find out? We find out that it was important. Quantitative means that science matters. You do need to just build evidence. You do need to have data for a number of things. But if you look at the, also another statement is you have to accept uncertainty. You cannot have information for everything, and you need to just live with a reasonable amount of uncertainty, because what you want is just to have enough understanding to just base your decision on good evidence. But sometimes we have to accept that we don't have all the evidence we need. Something critical is follow the water. Often we just look at the water that enter in the system, how much we distribute, how much we allocate, but rarely what happened after. What is happening with the return flows? What happened with the wastewater when it's discharged, etc. So this is an important element. Critical also to just respect. You have water is, if you define clearly your boundaries, you have what comes in and what comes out. So you do need to know what comes in and out. So just the law of mass, create your water balance and identify where you have no knowledge. And sometimes we are not able to fill all the information we would need to do the water balance, but knowing that we don't know is a good information because it helps to design better monitoring system and also to just maybe dig a little deeper if we need that information for strategic modernization decision, for example. Then it's critical to understand, the governance and the stakeholders and actors that are in your defined boundaries, the area that you study. And along the way, we just see that capacity development is critical because this is not that water accounting is so new, but it requires to combine different skills and knowledge. So it's this capacity that is new. So we think there is a need for a continuous capacity development to support the team that enter in water accounting. Next. So I will, for those of you who want to know more, I invite you to join the D group that is on water accounting and auditing, and where you will find a lot of past presentation webinars that will enable you to go further. And there is more information on the project. So now we'll just like to stop here. And I think next slide, you will have, I think we'll enter in the next presentation that will be on Egypt. So I'd like to invite our colleague from Egypt to just, Mr. Sheref Fouda, to just come and just present a concrete example of water accounting.
Good evening, everybody. So first of all, thank you very much to invite me to speak about how to apply the water accounting in Egypt and how to use this tool to make some kind of water resources assessment and monitoring the water resources in Egypt in certain areas. and how to evaluate this applied tool and see the results of applying water accounting. So I know that the time is limited, so water scarcity in Egypt, we all know that we have water scarcity in Egypt, and the big challenges regarding the water resources, especially when we know that the demand is increasing and our resources is limited. We have we have 100 million population, and the impact of climate change is not neglectable. So the variability in the water resources is a big challenge. So we want to monitor and assess the water resources to do a better planning in the future. And water accounting tool is a promising tool actually that we can apply to achieve this goal. So if we took if we mention the water accounting definition, it's a systematic approach that we can apply to do the quantitative assessment for the water resources and implement this to a great extent on the remote sensing data. And actually, this is a good advantage using or applying the water accounting tool or the water accounting plus, because we know that there is a gap in collecting the ground truth measurements, either the surface flow measurement, the actual evapotranspiration, the rainfall. So the remote sensing data can solve this problem. So we can see here in this slide, this is the framework behind the water accounting plus tool. So we can see that the remote sensing data is playing a great part in as an input data for the WA plus, and also a global data set could be included. Hydrological models also could be included to support processing the WA plus, and the outputs of WA tool could be standard sheets, and the standardization of the sheets can provide a very useful tool that we have a common terminology to discuss about. It could be useful charts and graphs and special maps. And using these outputs, we can help the decision maker to make a good assessment for the water resources. Next, please. This is an example for the remote sensing data we already used in water accounting. This is from WAPOR portal database from Fayoum, and actually we can use variety of remote sensing data, precipitation, actual evapotranspiration, reference evapotranspiration, and land products like the biomass and NPP. So there is a variety of products we can use, and also there is different resolution scales. So you can, there is 3 resolutions, 250, 100, and 30 meter resolution. So we already used applying water accounting the WAPOR portal database. Next, please. So the framework, water accounting framework, also actually has many features. We can benefit from these features. There is an integrated approach, and there is a good linkage between the water accounting and the land use and the crop map. So you need to know on each pixel on the ground what is happening. What about the water balance? What about the precipitation, the actual evapotranspiration, the water consumed pixel by pixel? So the land use and water and crop map is a mandatory input, and it's required. The institutional support for water accounting in Egypt has four parties. It's an institutional settings, data system, and team, and we cannot ignore the building capacity. We already have a good training on how to apply the water accounting, and we developed two use cases as we will show next. Also, we can see a very good interaction between the National Water Resource Plan, because they have the key challenge of improving the water quality and ensuring the sustainability of water resources, but they need data. So WA Plus can help in this matter by assessing and monitoring the current water resources and measure how much of visibility the in future plans that already can do. And actually, this interaction, we discussed how to make use of the Water Accounting Plus. So we have many objectives, and these objectives actually are translated to questions and translated to indicators. By indicators, we mean how to use these indicators to measure the quality of applying the water accounting tool. How to measure the water productivity, the land productivity, how to measure the irrigation efficiency, the system efficiency. So these kind of indicators we can apply using WA Plus to measure and to monitor and assess the water resources. WA Plus activities, we already make two use cases, one of them in Fayoum, and the current one now is in Delta. And in Fayoum, we started 2018 to 2020, and 2020 and 2021, we used the Nile Delta use case. For the Fayoum use case, actually we have certain assumptions and limitations, and in Fayoum it was a quite challenge because the Fayoum, although it's a closed basin, but there were many assumptions we should take in consideration. And this is important here to know that water accounting tool, it's not a general tool you can apply as it is, but you can make some kind of customization according to your demand, according to your scenario, according to your assumptions. So actually we customize the water accounting in Fayoum using these assumptions. So we assume that we have no percolation, we have no groundwater abstraction, precipitation almost was zero, and we based on the water balance calculated pixel by pixel. So we can estimate using the measured data and the remote sensing data how much of water we can allocate to this closed basin. And we can see here, previous please. We can see here that measuring the actual evapotranspiration from the agriculture sector, the inflow to Fayoum basin was 2.7 billion cubic meter, and this number is approximated, could be lightly changed from year to year. And we can, applying the WA Plus, we can estimate the actual evapotranspiration, which is a proxy for the agriculture or the planet water consumption. And the output after this consumption, the outflow will go to either to Lake Karun or Wadi Rayyan. So it was very important to see, to monitor how much of water applied to Karun Lake in terms of the increasing salinity and preserving the ecosystem there. Applying the water accounting plus, you should make some kind of pre-analysis of the remote sensing data you used, because remote sensing data is different depending on the algorithm for creating these data sets, and it could be useful in your domain or in your country, and it could be not useful in another country. So you have to make some kind of pre-analysis study before using the remote sensing data. For example, we found that SHREPS, the data set which represents the precipitation, is good. We found that the WABOR, actual evapotranspiration, also behave well according to our observed data. So we examined actually before applying WA plus on Fayoum, a branch or a set of different remote sensing data. The water accounting plus actually has some terminology, a standard terminology that we can all should agree with to use them and to make use of them. So we have the concept of the water consumption or the water uses beside the water resources. The water resources as a remote sensing data could be precipitation, if you have precipitation, surface water, groundwater abstraction, interbasin transfer, if exist, and non-conventional water waste, and so on. And the water uses has this concept of fractions. So you can differentiate the consumption of water to consumptive use and non-consumptive use. And the consumptive use is a beneficial and non-consumptive in non-beneficial. This is the standard sheet 1 resource base from applying on Fayoum. And you can see here that the inflow was 2.6 billion cubic meter, and the outflow to Lake Karun and the Wadi Rayyan. And the evaporation from the lake were 364, and the evaporation from the Lake Karun was so these numbers are estimated. It's not should be exact numbers, but you can use them. Next, please. And this is evapotranspiration standard sheet, and you can see that these numbers, how much of water consumption in terms of the actual evapotranspiration, and the beneficial use, which is the number of transpiration, and there is an indicator to calculate the beneficial usage of water, which is the fraction between transpiration and the actual evapotranspiration. For the delta use case, we apply also the water accounting tool in the whole delta. And actually, there is an important here to mention that generating the crop map is not an easy task, because this task requires a fair amount of training data to generate the crop map. And we can see here, using the crop map, we can make some estimate for the area of agriculture for each crop in the winter season and the summer season. So we have perennial crops, and we can also calculate the water consumption per each crop, and this can give us good information about, for each crop, how much of water is consumed. The next step now, we are going to calculate another set of important indicators regarding the water productivity and land productivity. For sheet 1 on delta, we can estimate the groundwater abstraction, which is 7.4. And for the evapotranspiration, we have the 94% of evapotranspiration of the managed water use class is from the irrigated crops, which is the major class there. and a large part of around 74% is attributed to beneficial evapotranspiration, which is good, which refers that we have a good irrigation efficiency. And the majority, about 98% being attributed to agriculture and the economy. Actually, we are going forward in this direction, applying this tool, this very useful tool. And to achieve and to maximize the benefit of this tool, we have to make continuing support to the water accounting unit in NWRI, increasing the capacity building, linking the water accounting system to the whole governance, and disseminate this information and this standard terminology, and evaluating the causes of regional validation of land cover productivity, and try to use different data sets to achieve the water productivity indicators. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it was a lot of information to be presented in a short time, so we apologize. So now we just want to give you the chance to maybe go in more details on some of the questions you had for Egypt in the room, and then for the people that are virtually with us, we have quite a number of participants that are virtually. We'll break in rooms and you'll have a chance to discuss about, I mean, we have to cut the time because we're planning half an hour, but I think we'll use a quarter of an hour. But just to have maybe feedback on 5 questions. So you could pick the one that you think is more interesting for your group. What is the value of doing water accounting? What are the challenges for those of you who have done it in implementing water accounting? Then looking ahead, what is it that you want to do with water accounting? And then looking back, what do you think could be improved in the way you just implement water accounting? And the 5 could be advice you'd like to give to people that want to start. And so I think here in the room we have, in Egypt, we have the experience of the team from the Ministry of Water and Irrigation, the water accounting team, the water accounting unit. So I invite the water accounting unit team to spread around the room, and I invite Taha to send everybody virtually in a room, and so that they can discuss. And then we'll meet again in the main room in 15 minutes. And we will, so the facilitators in each table will be invited to report on Mentimeter the conclusion of your discussion. So I'll go around the room, but I'll invite, so maybe Nagla to be in a room, Serif on a table, we have Adam on a table, I will be on a table, and maybe we'll invite Eman and Mohammed to join a table, and so to just discuss, and you could take the example of Egypt in the room, to just go in and look at these questions, you know, reflecting on the case of Egypt, and maybe answering to specific questions people may have, and we won't have time to go in detail. So we have 15 minutes of discussion here, and then we'll come back with a follow-up. So we are going now to just have the next presentation that is going to go one step further. You saw we had, in the introduction, I indicated that we went through a process. And through the process, it was a process of learning by doing. So learning what is water accounting, then implementing it, combining it with water governance analysis. And now it's just the lessons learned and able to inform a protocol on how to do water accounting. And this is currently being developed with the team working on water accounting, international team, including the World Bank, who have decided to just have this as a requirement in their project, to just use water accounting as part of the baseline assessments and monitoring. So we'll just give the floor to Charles Batchelor and Poulat Karimi who I hope are with us virtually, so they will be speaking virtually. So Charles or Poulad, could you tell us who starts? Poulad. Okay, Poulad, go ahead.
It's Charles, actually. Charles.
Hi, yeah, I think it's me. I'm going to do the first.
Okay, Charles. So Charles, can we see your face also?
You certainly can.
So Charles Batchelor is an international expert specialist on water accounting. He has, is hydrologist, and he has worked for many international organizations and currently is working with FAO and the World Bank in developing the protocol. So Charles, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. We're fairly short of time, so I'll go swiftly to the first slide. How can I do that? Is there a button for? Thank you. Okay, this slide makes the point that the water accounting and the water accounting protocol is relevant to a wide range of water accounting applications, but also water accounting users and uses. Can we move on to the next slide? No, not that one. That's not the right slide. Yeah, great. Okay, the main objective of the protocol is to inform decision making related to institutionalizing and operationalizing water accounting systems in specified domains, which could be a river basin or an irrigation scheme or an urban area. I think as Damati was saying, the protocol is based on lessons that have been learnt during the last sort of 20 plus years. Okay, so moving on to this slide, water accounting, it fills a gap between a number of disciplines. These can include hydrology, hydraulics, environmental sciences, and so on. But importantly, water accounting approaches, frameworks, and systems, they're not substitutes for these what we could call companion disciplines. And in most cases, the water accounting approaches, frameworks, systems use a mix of concepts and models that have come from or are based are part of other disciplines. But this interaction between a lot of disciplines is a key component of water accounting and the protocol. Next slide, please. The plan that we followed, we're following on the drafting, is that the protocol will be explicit and directive when describing processes and/or procedures that are well understood and well documented. For example, water balance analysis. But in contrast, the protocol will recommend the use of iterative cycles of adaptation of processes or procedures that before they're adopted upscaled. These are processes and procedures that may be unproven or could even be contested. And at this point, I think I hand over to Poulad.
Thank you very much, Charles. My name is Poulad Karimi, and I'm from the World Bank, and I'm presenting on behalf of our team in the World Bank who are working with me on this protocol. Basically, as mentioned, I mean, we had a very good example presented by the water accounting team in Egypt, right? It was how this water accounting work started from a small study, then went on to Fayoum, and now being applied to a country scale. And that is the track that we see in the application of water accounting. Basically, we see that over the time, this capacity is being built. These cycles are try and learning is actually going to help the countries to update this and how we can internalize this within the experts, and also show what role water accounting can actually play in a larger scheme of things. So basically, the protocol is going to take from this experience and show how this iterative cycles are going to lead to another, and then how we can kind of help growing the water accounting work. Next, please. And next. Yeah. So what we have planned is actually to have 4 main sections in the water accounting protocol. And then the first one would be the water accounting protocol, kind of describing it, what it is. We have many different water accounting framework, water accounting systems, water accounting, and definitions for even water accounting. So we would like to a little bit discuss, bring some clarity over this kind of what definitions are there, what kind of systems are there, what can be used for what purpose. And also the idea behind this protocol to a bit focus on the users, as the slide shown by Charles, is going to kind of highlight the part that how can you actually use water accounting in different applications? Because we've been talking about it, there's so much knowledge, but the applications need to actually be targeted towards where water accounting could be useful. So this chapter is going to shed light on that and then provide information on water accounting protocol, the strategies, opportunities for addressing key water accounting challenges after identifying what those challenges and the problems are. The next chapter, which we call it water accounting system building blocks, is going to work and focus on institutionalization of water accounting. What kind of arrangements do you need for that? What kind of sharing data? What kind of mechanism for collection of data you need? What kind of system needs to be in place? What kind of analytical methods and basically models need to be implied and be used for this? So, and also at the end of the day, what kind of water accounting system communication material you need to kind of increase your influence, because at the end of the day, if you want water accounting to be something that is incorporated and taken seriously by the decision maker, we have to make sure those communication materials, those information that we are sharing is to the point and is actually answering the main questions that are relevant. In there, we are going to basically learn from the oldest case studies that we have done. I mean, a lot of people in this room and in this basically in the hall, they have worked on water accounting in different studies all over the world, and there are many examples of application that are like abundant of knowledge that to learn from. So basically, there are many case studies. There's just a small list that we have made so far. The Krishna Basin is a good example because there have been so many case studies over time happened in Krishna Basin, including different water accounting systems. There is the experience in Cairo. There is experience with the project that FAO is leading currently in the MENA region from different countries doing the rapid water accounting, starting that cycle and basically the first cycle and then moving up, examples from Palestine, Tunisia, Iran. So there are many examples that we're going to actually go through and try to get the main messages and lesson learned from those, and then try to capture the highlights within this basically protocol. And at the end of the day, we would like to make MOOCs, like the massive online learning material, guides, links to everything that you need to basically is needed to build that capacity to actually do water accounting, different disciplines that are actually being used by groups of experts to be able to do water accounting. A good example again is the example in Egypt, how water accounting unit is kind of includes experts from different disciplines, as was shown in the example, crop mapping, remote sensing, hydrology, water management, all these disciplines that you need to actually learn to be able to create the unit that works together and then fill the gap that is needed for water accounting application. Next, please. Next slide. Thank you so much. So the process is that wonderful. Yes, thank you. So the process is actually to have a review of an expert panel. So these are basically people who have done and are known for water accounting application. They can bring in their experience. They were going to review this and then also give input to this protocol to make sure that the protocol is actually capturing that knowledge, shared knowledge and experiences. And all the specialists that have been participating in water accounting related webinars, including many of you would have the opportunity basically to have a look, give feedback, and also water accounting professionals who have basically worked in the operationalization of water accounting. That's slightly different with the applications. The applications basically you have a case study, you do water accounting, but there is entirely different part of the work that is actually trying to build up that institutional setup for water accounting. There are examples of that, and there's so much to learn from that. What kind of support is needed, what kind of commitments are needed, and etc. Next one. Next. Basically, we were hoping to have the time to discuss and have the opportunity to basically discuss some of these questions with you. I do not know whether we still have that kind of time. Domtil can basically give us that information. But these are the questions basically I would like, even if you don't have time, we send it to you. It would be very nice to have these answers from you. Basically, we'd like to know what challenges of water accounting you think you can help, water accounting can help to address in real life application. I mean, anything that you know from your experience, and then have you had any experience trying to institutionalize an operational water accounting? And if yes, who's leading this effort in your example? Also, we'd like to learn that if anything that you think that needs to be included in water accounting protocol beside what we have shown. And overall, we would like to hear from you your feedback on the relevance of the protocol for the users. I know that the information that we shared is not much yet, but it would be nice if those who would like to have a little more participation indicate that, and we would be happy to share more info and get engaged with them. My presentation is over, but I just wanted to mention to Domtil that the participants online are unable to unmute themselves. So in the breakout room, we couldn't have the discussion because that was the issue. I hope if you are going to a next breakout meeting, that would be possible for the participant. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. So yes, it's not good that the breakout room, they couldn't speak with each other. So that was a little problem. Unfortunately, we won't have time for new breakout rooms. I invite you to just react on the Mentimeter. Again, you have one of the questions that was asked before was posted. So please just take the time to just maybe enter again to the Mentimeter if you had entered it in your system and just answer to the question. I think because now we are at the end of the session, we'll give the floor to the final speakers who will wrap up and synthesize the discussion. And apologies for the online speaker participants who were not able to discuss during the 15 minutes we just allowed for this. And so I'd like to invite maybe Amgad first, and then Marlos and Ebel to just bring in their conclusions. So Amgad, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thanks, Domiti. I think it was a fantastic, we managed to have some discussion in our breakout group, and highlighting some of the points that been made that is still aligned with what it's been discussed, and even the protocol that presented by Charles and Pollard. So I think the key message I'm getting is water accounting requires some on-ground data and special data to be validated. And also there is a need to look at the relevant question of the water accounting to today's problem, which it will be for sure part of that protocol, how we can really look at that. I think there was very clear agreement on the strengths and the usefulness of the water accounting in terms of supporting the decision making. However, there is always a need to look at that unaccounting for difference, or unaccounting water that being used as illegal use, for example. That was also highlighted. And one of the key strengths that people see in the water accounting, and I hope everyone share that observation is really water accounting allow you to work across scale and allow you to link the field scale to the basin scale. So if you do a water saving at the field, you can actually validate that at the basin scale by looking at the water accounting or by conducting a water accounting. So I think the final message I wanted to make here based on the discussion as well is there is also a recognition of still somehow lack of understanding of the strengths of the water accounting, but there is a very clear demand for it and also need to be tailored to the case that we are working on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amgad. So I think I'll invite Marlos Moul, if you are here, if you can take the floor.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we had a short but very interesting discussion in the group, and there are two key points that I would like to bring forward of what we discussed. One was that we seen a lot on the remote sensing based water accounting, but it was also made very clear that that doesn't measure everything. So there's still a need for field data and ground truth data, not only to validate the remote sensing data, but also to pick up some of the data and the flows of that you don't measure with remote sensing. And one of the key things that was highlighted was, for instance, withdrawals are not measured. It's more of the consumption, but the actual withdrawal is not measured, and that is both valid for the agricultural sector, but also the abstractions for domestic industries that could actually affect the quality of the water, and that would actually we still determine that as a consumptive use because it's no longer available for other users, even though the water is physically there, but it's polluted. So that's one thing that I would like to bring forward. And the second one was that there was also a question related to, we've got this UN system of CAW and Water Accounting Plus, and which one, what is my recommendation, which one to use? And I would actually say that it's not one or the other. I think they actually can be very complementary. They both have strengths and weaknesses. And I think the combination of using both of them, Water Accounting Plus the remote sensing data, to complement the data that's being collected on the CAW would be actually very beneficial. So those are the two takeaways that I got from the discussion that I had. And I also want to compliment everybody on the very nice presentations that we had. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I forgot to introduce Marlos. So Marlos Moul is working for IHE Delft, and they have a key role in building capacity on water accounting. And I'd like to give the last word to Ebel Schmidt, who is working for the with the Ministry of Water and Irrigation in the project on EU Water Star. Ebel, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me? Good afternoon. Well, just a contribution to this wonderful session. Thank you all for the contributions. I was not able to join a breakout session, but I would like to make a few remarks in addition to the wonderful presentation of our colleague, Engineer Sharif. And first of all, I think it showed how important cooperation is in the field of water accounting. Maybe water accounting is identical to cooperation. And we have seen that during the last 4 years when we introduced water accounting at the ministry with a wonderful team of people working in the ministry, and also cooperation between different international agencies like the EU and the FAO, SIDA and other agencies to introduce this new concept. So congratulations to all, and especially to the colleagues of the ministry, to where you stand now. Secondly, that has been said already by others as well, the physical, economical and environmental reality differs from place to place. So taking that into account is especially important for a successful introduction of water accounting. We have seen that in Egypt with a special situation of very small plots and a high variety over the year, both spatially and temporally, which poses specific challenges to the water accounting systems. And that leads me to the third observation, that what already many other people have said already, that tailor-made approaches, which we have focused on during the duration of the project, and what Dr. Imad also correctly mentioned as customizing the systems, is a need for the success of water accounting. And that will mean also that, fourthly, the capacity building is a long-term process, because the situation is complex, depends on your local situations, it requires a lot of cooperation. So we have now working for 3-4 years at the ministry. My guess is that at least another 2, 3 to 4 years are needed to have a full-grown water accounting unit. And I hope the partners from the international world are willing to continue the support to the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation and also other ministries for a full-grown adult water accounting system in the future. Thank you all for your contributions and for being with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our last speakers. Thank you to all of you who have been very patiently following the session, participating in the session with us. So if you are interested in water accounting, we will in any case share the presentation, will be shared by the Cairo Water Week, so don't hesitate to contact us if you are interested to know more. I think if you haven't given, you can leave your email and we will send also the result of the Mentimeter. We won't have time now to present it because the time is too short, but we'll share it with the report of the session with the organizers. So I wish you a very good lunch and thanks again and see you soon.